Uh, so today we'll discuss about hydrogen sulfide. So as you know that it is present everywhere in the earth, even in your home also, or in different industries like oil and gas industries, or any other kind of petrochemical industries. So hydrogen sulfide gas is a very toxic and it having some nickname. So the nickname what others called is silent killer. Why the hydrogen sulfide is called silent killer? Because it silently affect the human nature. It may cause a trauma or it can lead to a fatalities. So that's why it is called a silent killer. So we will move on to other what are the properties of hydrogen sulfide gas. So hydrogen sulfide gas, the chemical formula is H2S. So that means two number of atoms of hydrogen and one is sulfur atom. So when two number of atoms of hydrogen and one molecule of atoms combine together, then it is formed as H2S. So sulfur, it is very corrosive in nature and it can be harmed our nature very highly possibilities. So mostly hydrogen sulfide gas, H2 is gas is colorless and it is poisonous, flammable. Why it is flammable? Because of presence of hydrogen. As you know that hydrogen is a flammable gas. So why it is flammable means the presence of hydrogen. And it is a corrosive. Why it is corrosive? It is corrosive due to the atom of sulfur. So both hydrogen and sulfur combines together that we call as hydrogen sulfide. At low concentration, that means at low concentration of hydrogen sulfide, it having a smell of rotten eggs. What is a rotten smell? When you keep one egg in an open area or a closed area after 2 3 days, what will happen? Due to some external like bacteria and all, it will be destroyed or it can like a rotten smell it will be coming. So the same like that smell in low concentration, H2 is having a smell like rotten eggs. But in higher concentration, it cannot be detected by our human nose or inhalation systems. Then we need to use like detectors or any other kind instruments to detect highly concentration. So that's why we called a silent killer because when the concentration of higher hydrogen sulfide when it comes, we are unable to sense or we are unable to recognize during the time of this uh, like during the time of any gas release. So next we move on to properties. So what are the properties of hydrogen sulfide gas? First is highly toxic. It is colorless, heavier than air. So what is heavier than air? Actually, our normal atmosphere is air is 1 bar pressure. So more than it is heavier. So what will happen if it is heavier means the denser air will be it will stagnate at the bottom area. That's why it is very you know like when working in a confined area or any other place. So even it when while checking from the upward area, we are unable to see or find out the gas. So that's why it is heavier than air or denser than air. So what will happen? It will be stagnated at the bottom area. So H2S is highly flammable and moved and mixed with the wind. So it, having the property to combine with the natural air and it can have the property of dissolve in water also. So it can so what will happen? So when H2S combines with H2O, H2O means it is water. So what will happen? H2SO4 will come. So that is sulfuric acid. So while if a person inhaled some H2S gas, please don't give any water or liquid to the victim. So what will happen if he inhaled the gas, when we are providing some water when during any kind of gas release, so it will form or it will combines H2SO4. So what will happen? He may die due to this excessive and highly corrosive of pipelines, and it is very corrosive in nature. That means most of the pipelines vessels, it is very corrosive in nature, and it may happen explosive, so it is very explosive also. Next is where we can found this H2S, mainly in production areas, confined areas, sulfur removal areas because of the residue. So most of the accidents in these kind of vessels or these kinds of tanks is due to the residual. So residual gas will be existed on every pipelines or every confined space. So that is very danger. Next is heaters and coolers because coolers use refrigerants. So that may also contain some sulfurs. So when hydrogen also combined, it may chance of producing H2S also. Maintenance area, steam injections area, and reservoir wells. So these are the areas in which H2S are found. So next one is factors in influencing toxic actions. So how it is being toxic to us, and like how it is being actioned to us. What are the factors? First one is rate of entry. So how much is the consumption or how much we are consumed during a work activity, like inhalation or injection, that kind of any in routes of entry. Routes of entry can be any types because like breathing, we can inhale the H2S. Like during while we eating, if it is containing any toxic element, that also we can inform. So next is state of health, age, route of exposure. It is very also because it is through blood means it having high exposure. So that's why route of exposure because if during in any cutting of any pipelines, so what will happen? This residue of H2S may directly combine to our body parts like during cutting any hot works and all. So any directly to through any blood, it may cause many hazards. Next is primary route entering to the body. So there are four types which primarily through enters our through the body. One is inhalation. Inhalation is not through nose only, mostly because we breathe through nose and mouth. But mostly we are, if you are not in sleeping, mostly we are inhaling through nose only for breathing purpose. So that is one point for routes of entry. Next is ingestion. What is injection? Through mouth. So while having some food or having water, so if it is contaminated, then also we can harm. Next is absorption through the skin. So during our work activity, if any, like while sweating and all, so our body having minute pores, like small microscopic pores it is having. So through any absorption, it can also harm to our body. Through our bloodstream, what I called before means during any hot work activities, if a person been injured, then what will happen? The H2S is directly contact with our blood, so it may happen. It may cause severe health problems. Next is exposure limit and systems. So maximum allowed for 8 hours it is 10 ppm. What is ppm? Parts per million. So only 8 hours during our work it is exposed to only 10 ppm. So we need to care or we need to work within below 10 ppm, and mostly it varies depend upon the organization, and the standards. But mostly it is 10 ppm and it is allowed only for 8 hours. And one more thing, it is better to work below 5 because it is very, you know, very harmful to our body. So, what are the symptoms? Eye and breathing irritation mostly will come. So, during this work, it may exposure to our eye and breathing because it contains water, right? So, our breathing, like eye and all, eye, so it contain water molecules. So, what will happen? It will react and it will cause irritations. So that's why. Next is 20 to 100 ppm. Actually, we cannot work without any mandatory PPs like air filters or any other SCABA like that. So we cannot work or do not entertain any work between 20 to 100 ppm because it will lead to immediate danger to health and life. That is ideal age. I think most of you knows. So, what are the symptoms during this exposure? Loss of sense of smells, headache, cough, nausea, and dizziness. So, during this between 20 to 100 ppm, these are the symptoms which may cause. Like you will acute or may chance of chronic diseases like a headache, cough, nausea, and dizziness. So, these are the symptoms which may cause due to continuous exposure. Next is if the exposure is above 100 ppm, okay, it will cause death or fatality, what we call as immediate danger to life and health. So now we move on to UEL and LEL. So what is UEL or LEL? LEL, no, lower lower explosive limit and upper explosive limit. So H2S having LEL of 4.3 percentage and UEL is 46 percentage. So LEL up to 44.3 and UEL is up to 46 percentage. And we called in ppm, you can multiply into 10,000. Okay. So these are the thing. And what will happen if the upper and lower explosive limit range? So 0 to 4.3, no fire will be taken, though no lean to pell because of less H2S concentration. If the range is between 4.3 and 46 percentage, it is the flammability range in which fire can occur. So, what is flammability range? Flammability range is nothing but it is a like in between of UEL and LEL or LEL and UEL. So, in flammability range only, the gas or the vapors can burnt off or to produce a ignite fire. Correct? So what will happen for 46 percentage, above 46 percentage, there will be a no fire to reach to burn. Okay. When H2S gas is burnt, or how we can find whether it is H2S or not. So it having some properties like when it burns, it having blue flames. Okay, blue flames like commonly our like cooking gas we can see blue flames, but it is not H2S. Okay, don't worry. With blue flames and produce very toxic gas that is sulfur dioxide. So it is very danger. So what is H2S prerequisites? So proper how we can control or how we can minimize this kind of H2S presence. So continuous monitoring we need to done using gas testing and all. We need to do proper gas testing with the AGT authorized gas tester. Valid permit to work system we need to develop because without permit and it is nothing going to happen. Simply some accidents only it will happen. So except the permit to work system, we need to take H2S permit to work because it having some control measures, how to work, having attached other FRA formal risk assessments. So without permit, please don't do any work activities. Next is proper PP required. So mandatory PPs are required. It is applicable to, like, it is standardized to the what organization you are working and the type of work activity you are being doing. Next is entry logbook. So entry logbook, it is common. I think most of the confined space or any other kind of excursion we will take up to logbook, writing all the names and times and duration. So we can identify that how much person is being involved in during the task and what is the exposure he have been done, and that and all it is comes under logbook. So whenever we are engaging, we should only engage competent person, and we need to train him whether how to escape or during an emergency scenario. So this will be well trained, and it should be communicated with all other people who are working nearby and who are working. So even it is a your staff or any other workers, everyone should to know what is the hazards and what is the thing we need to do during an emergency. So, what is the H2S managing release? What we need to do? H2S training for all the workers, what we call now, what we talked now. SCABA training, so self-contained air breathing apparatus or breathing apparatus. So that should be trained how to use and what are the time duration of SCABA, that and all we need to train well to the workers. And regular gas mounting, that should be done in periodically done. We need to conduct in three levels, that is bottom level, mid level, and the top level. So three areas we need to cover. Next is regular breathing apparatus maintenance, that should be enhanced because if the breathing apparatus is not good, it may cause harm to our workers. Proper safety and leadership and risk assessment. So these are the things we need to do. So we'll discuss in next what are the types of monitors and how we can use. We will discuss in next video. Thank you.